Thursday, February 20th. I'm Rim.
I'm Scott.
And this is Geeknights. We're back from Katsucon, and boy, are our voices tired.
Let's do this.
We're finally back from Katsucon.
God damn.
It was a fantastic con. We're totally exhausted. Expect my voice to sound weird for the next couple days as I recover.
Yeah, we finally figured out those roads near northern Jersey, right, west of New York City, how all they all work.
Yeah, in other words, we figured out how to get out of Jersey.
Quickly,
in the quickest
slowly.
way possible.
As opposed to the slow and inefficient way.
But no, the con was great. We're absolutely exhausted. We missed last night's show, as we'll talk about later. But more importantly, welcome to all of our new listeners.
Yeah, I wonder how many new people are actually going to start listening who met us at Katsucon. I'd be very interested.
So, of course, we're not going to do this really ever again, but we figured since we know we have a lot of new listeners, we should at least go over a little bit of what this business all is, in case they couldn't figure it out from the CDs, which we ran out of immediately.
Yeah, well, anyone who picked up the flyer instead of the CD is probably going to need some help. The CD had help on it.
Well, it's Tuesday night. So it is gaming day where we talk about games, video games, board games, all that sort of stuff.
Role-playing games, card games. Not really so much card games, but whatever we're playing at the time is usually what we're going to talk about. Yeah,
but Geek Nights in general is 4 different nights with 4 effectively different shows every night, just with the same format about a different topic.
Yep, so if you listen to the show tomorrow night, it's going to be about anime, manga, or comics.
And more importantly, if you listen to it tomorrow, because it's about anime, manga, and comics, we're going to actually cover Katsucon. Tonight, we're just talking about the gaming at Katsucon.
Yep. Thursday, you never know what it's going to be. And Monday, it's usually computers and technology and /dot type of stuff.
Yeah.
And of course, it's a podcast, so no one's forcing you to listen on any particular day. So even though we make the video game show on Tuesday night, you might listen to it on Saturday or Monday or who knows when.
Yep. Now, we're not going to explain how podcasts work because you got this far, so you've obviously figured something out. But in general, tonight is going to be not mostly a standard episode just because we are tired. I threw the equipment back together hastily after getting back from the con. And instead of doing our normal topical thing, we're just going to kind of talk about the con until we get tired of talking about it.
That sounds kind of fun.
Yeah, so I'd recommend, if you're new to the show, search for a topic you're interested in or browse through the archives. I almost guarantee you'll find an episode about something you care about.
Yeah, there's like almost 300 episodes in there. There has to be an episode that we've done that you'll be interested in. And then you can decide if you like the show or not based on that.
Yeah, and starting either probably Thursday or maybe next week, we'll get back into our normal nightly groove.
Yep.
But anyway, we'll be really quick about the news because I still want to go to bed and rest my throat for one more night. And because I don't know how long we're going to talk about Katsucon Gaming since it was totally awesome and I have a lot of awesome things to say about it.
Yeah, we don't want the episode to go too long, so let's do the news real quick. Ready? Go.
All right, so real briefly, as I can expound and go on and great...
Lol.
No, so apparently Nintendo has said that they have not entirely ruled out the possibility of releasing translated Japanese-only games on the Virtual Console in the United States.
Earthbound. Mother.
Oh, not just Earthbound. There's a lot of games I want desperately.
Well, I'm going to talk about something as my thing of the day, but it's not really a Nintendo game, so don't expect it on the Virtual Console.
Yeah, so obviously this isn't news that it's happened yet, but the fact that Nintendo didn't come out and say no is kind of significant because Nintendo is one of the few gaming companies where they say exactly what they mean.
Yeah, if it's no, they'll just say no.
Yep. Like when the GameCube came out, or not the GameCube, the Wii. They were talking about, how much it's going to cost. And way back they said it will cost no more than $250.
And guess how much it costs?
It cost exactly $250.
I think it cost maybe $249.99. I'm not sure.
Yeah, something like that.
Something like that.
When Nintendo, they don't lie, they might be deceitful by saying something that is perfectly true but might mislead you. But whatever they say is always exactly what they said.
Yep.
Which shouldn't be an issue, but there are companies like Sony out there, so we gotta...
They're like us. They say what they mean. Anyway, so for anyone who's worried that Capcom may or may not release more Phoenix Wright in the United States, you should probably be less worried. They're having a contest. It's on the official Capcom forums in the United States. One of the administrators posted rules for a contest, full official rules. And the contest basically says, convince Capcom to release Phoenix Wright 3 in the US and win a prize. I didn't really read all the details of the contest because I have no interest in entering, but it gives hope that Phoenix Wright more of it is on the way.
If I had a video camera, I would be very interested in entering. I imagine we could put forth some sort of horrid video that would force them to recognize the awesomeness of us and of this game coming out here.
That could very well be true. But, yeah. The fourth Phoenix Wright, which doesn't actually have Phoenix Wright in it, they changed the main character, is coming out in Japan pretty much right now. So, if we get the third one, we're just about caught up.
Yeah, I'm playing through the second one finally now, and I actually had to spend most of Katsucon surrounded by cool people who are cooler than me because they've already played the game, pretty much just gushing about it while I had to sit there and go,
Whose fault is that? I played it real quick. You could have played it just as quick as me and been done already.
Yeah, because I have a job.
Oh, right. Right. Not working until March 1st, right.
Yeah. See, I can't even use the dig of, Captain Jobless, but the only reason you don't have a job is because you quit your job to get a better job that doesn't start right away.
It's good times in the life of Scott right now.
Things of the day. Now, there's not much in this world I like more than Mario and Mario-related paraphernalia, but there's not much more in this world I dislike than Dragon Ball Z, GT, whatever.
Man, like Dragon Ball Z, it's one of the most popular anime in the US, but popularity is so far away from quality.
Well, is it even still that popular? I wonder how popular it actually is.
It's a good question, because it was super it was Naruto popular, maybe 5 to 10 years ago.
I don't know, back when the only anime on TV was that and Sailor Moon.
Yeah, but the current popularity of Dragon Ball Z, that's tough. It's real tough to say.
Regardless, someone decided to take Mario and Dragon Ball Z and kind of mash them together in that way I like to do on the internet. So, I'm not going to talk much about it because I want to get right into Katsucon, but I suggest you watch this video, and I will say that while it is parodying Dragon Ball Z, it does distill about 12 episodes worth of this into about a minute and a half.
Yeah, the video Rim is linking to is like sort of a trailer thing for Mario Ball Z.
Don't actually watch Mario Ball Z. It's not funny.
They've actually made episodes of Mario Ball Z. Like, they've made episode 1 so far, but...
Scott tried to sell me on them, like, check them out. They're an awesome, funny parody. And
well, no, I wasn't. It wasn't that funny, but it's the production quality of the animations and the effort put into it is obviously more than other mashups that involve sprites.
Yeah, but all they had to do was make this trailer, and it was good enough. By actually going through with the project, it's almost a minus in my book.
Yeah, I think the problem with going through with the project is that they actually copied Dragon Ball Z too well, and the problems of Dragon Ball Z show through in the final work.
Well, they also just go really, really slowly, but without any dialogue or anything, and there's no voice acting, per se, so it's really just kind of a slow, plodding, boring thing to watch. At least Dragon Ball has music and people yelling.
This had it. You just didn't see those parts, but that doesn't matter.
Well, no, because it was all just text.
Yeah, that's true. It is
slow,
text and no talking.
Boring text that was on the screen way too long.
All right, anyway, there was this Sega Saturn game that I heard of a while ago. And I, totally forgot about it. But the reason I heard of it is because Famitsu, which is pretty much the #1 gaming magazine in all of Japan, it's like the gaming authority in Japan. They had sort of a reader's poll on best games ever. I think it might have been in 2005 or something.
Yeah, we were actually looking at this at Katsucon.
Yeah, well, because I was reminded of it at Katsucon, so I looked it up because we had internets there, which was lucky. And yeah, this game was like, I can't remember exactly how it was ranked, but it was like the #3 game ever in Japan, according to readers voting on Famitsu.
Now, considering that we'd heard of all these other games, like, Dragon Quest, whatever, Final Fantasy, whatever, this game, never heard of that.
Yeah, imagine if the #3 game ever was not, in the US, was not available in Japan. Like, you couldn't buy Zelda 1 in Japan, only in US.
So, what the hell is this game?
It's apparently a game called Machi, and it's for the Sega Saturn in Japan only.
God damn it.
It's text-heavy, I assume.
How many Sega Saturn games are there that we'll never get to play?
Plenty. And it's sort of... I can't really tell exactly what kind of game it is, but I'm pretty sure it's an adventure-y, story kind of game that would probably be right up our alley, possibly with Yakuza action, although I can't really tell.
See, now at this point, because I know I can't ever play the game, I'm just going to assume that there's Yakuza action, because it seems to me that Japan has this conspiracy to prevent Yakuza action from getting into my hands.
Yeah, you know what else? I recently discovered that this game, Machi, had a re-release on the PSP in Japan, making owning a PSP in Japan worth it if you know Japanese.
So maybe if I get a PSP and then I mod it and then I get this game in Japan and then I sit there with Emily and make her translate it all for me, I might get some Yakuza action.
You could play what is quite possibly one of the top 10 games ever made that will never, ever, ever be available in English, barring someone crazy with a lot of money.
See, the thing
being
is,
very nice.
There are people out there who translated the Utena game for the Sega Saturn. We just haven't bothered to actually try to emulate it.
It's all you.
Hey, I'm all about that. So far now, there's 2 reasons for me to learn enough Japanese to play Sega Saturn games.
Well, go for it. And if you succeed, let's play some Machi, because I really want to play this goddamn game.
But that's enough thing of the day, because we have plenty to talk about in the actual show, since, as you all should know, we were at Katsucon over the weekend.
Woo!
Hence the lack of a Monday show.
Yeah, well, we were planning on doing a Monday show, but then we realized that would have meant we had to unpack all the equipment and set it up again.
Which I only set back up less than an hour ago.
Yeah, it takes a while to plug in all those wires and clean up the mess and move shit around. And
Not to mention the fact that Scott's voice was a little scratchy and mine was about 10 times more scratchy than it is now.
yeah, I think mine is pretty much back to the way it was, but yours is still a little
Yeah, I need another day of recovery.
Yeah. Oh, well. Of
course, I shouted.
It's not Otakon bad, so we're all right.
I shouted a lot more than you. My Rampart tournament ended up being quite competitive with a lot of people in it.
Yeah, my Street Fighter tournament was mighty quick.
Partly because Street Fighter was broken, and 2 because it's a really, really, really bad game.
I know, that's why I had a tournament in it, because it's so bad.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, though. But first,
we will.
Tonight, we were talking just about the Katsucon game room, GameKatsu, and all the things related to that. Tomorrow, we will be talking about Katsucon as a whole, our actual experiences at the con outside of the gaming room, since today is gaming day and tomorrow is anime, manga, comics day.
Yep. Well, for those of you who don't know, Katsucon sort of weird with its gaming compared to other at least other anime conventions, in that they have a sort of section. It's like half of the convention almost, called GameKatsu. And it's sort of like its own gaming convention within the bigger Katsucon convention.
Well, the thing is, most other large cons are run generally like that, where they'll have a department head for each area, and they're largely autonomous, and they interface with each other to get stuff done. Katsucon isn't special in that regard. It's just special in that it seems as though the head of the game department has as much discretion as an entire convention, where at some other cons, I don't think it's quite to that scale.
Yeah, it's almost as if there's these different conventions going on. Like, each department is its own convention, and they only work with each other, when it's absolutely necessary. Like a super Confederate convention.
Which is perfectly fine, because
it is perfectly fine.
Katsucon is a great con. It's probably my second or third favorite con, period.
Yeah, after going to it, I can definitely say it was pretty awesome, despite a few shortcomings here and there. But, no one's perfect.
But yeah, Aaron, the head of GameKatsu, basically set us up in the front of the video game room. Well, it was broken into 2. We'll talk about all that in a bit, how it was actually set up. But we were set up at a table in the front, and we basically were hooked into the PA system through this crazy mixer configuration with...
Are we going to even talk about how screwed up that stuff was?
With the live DJ next to us, and all the music, and some of the video games spliced in. And we basically, whenever the DJ wasn't, actually mixing live with this awesome digital vinyl mixing system... we were just playing music, talking to the crowd, and generally hanging out for most of the con.
Yep. We also spent a lot of time sitting there promoting Geeknights and running tournaments and giving away prizes and talking to people.
We didn't really do much to promote Geeknights.
We tried. We gave away those CDs. The thing is, they ran out so fast. As soon as I fixed our free CD sign to be more prominent, those things flew.
Yep. And once we got our friend Ido to draw us a funny little, hey, come up and take stuff, pretty much everything disappeared.
Yeah, and then we put a sign that said, come to the match game, and that totally worked also. So people were definitely paying attention to what we were doing.
Yeah, so basically we just sat there, and it was kind of like how we would go at other cons if we had an artist alley table and we could just kind of park behind it whenever there was nothing else to do. But because Katsucon, we were so prominent, and two, because the video game room was so happening 24/7 throughout the whole con, we were basically in the thick of it at all times.
Yeah, imagine if instead of your artist alley table being in the middle of artist alley with everyone else's table, you sort of had like your own special table out there. It was pretty cool.
It was totally awesome. But before we, go off on all that business, because a lot of funny things happened to us while we were sitting up there.
Yep.
But the game room at Katsu is really, really neat and unique compared to most other cons for one main reason. Instead of having just a big game room like most cons have, they split it up into exactly 2 rooms of roughly equal size.
Well, 2 video game rooms. They also have other gaming rooms.
Well, yeah, but we'll get to all that.
Yep.
Now, the first half of the room on the other side that you get to through our game room was the same as Otakon and Anime Central and everything else. A giant room full of TVs with Wiis and PlayStations and Xboxes and DDR and Guitar Heroes and everything just kind of strewn about everywhere.
Yeah, one thing I thought was pretty cool, actually, about that room was, I don't know where they rented the TVs from, but every TV was identical, and they were laid out, in a very nice and even fashion, and everything seemed to, been working. At least every time I went in there, it was working.
Yeah.
And you could always, you might not get the game you wanted right away, but there was always somewhere to sit and play a game, without much wait.
Yep. Well, plus, it looked like every single game there was getting played. They had a very good selection. While Otakon had some trouble with that, where there were areas where no one was, and you thought, ooh, I can play a game, and then you'd find out why no one was over there.
Yeah. Another thing was I noticed that the staff would often say, hey, that game's not getting played much, that game's getting played a lot, and they would set up new stations of games that were getting played a lot, and they would get rid of they would change games out where they weren't being played. That, actually changing what games are out there during the convention is pretty cool. Whereas I think Otakon, they set it up and then they just let it sit there. They don't care.
I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that Aaron, who was running the game room, and all of his staff, this was the most highly staffed game room of any con I've ever been to.
Yeah, quality staffed also. Like, the worst guy on the staff was still a cool guy.
Yeah, well above our line of tolerance, which, as you all know, is pretty high.
Yep.
But no, this con, not only did they have more staff per game and more staff per person in the room, but they had probably more staff total than most anime cons.
Yeah, they had a staff meeting, which we were kind of at because we were semi-staff in a way.
Yeah, basically by staff, all that meant was we could MC our half of the game room and basically do whatever we wanted in that room at all times.
Yeah, we did a few staff things, like I handled giving out some wireless controllers for a little bit, and people would come up and ask us questions because we were sitting at the head of the room, and I would answer them the best I could.
The answer was always either, no, the tournament is for that Street Fighter arcade game right there, or the answer you're looking for is in the other room at the other identical table.
Yeah, well, semi-identical table, but more authoritative table.
Well, partly because that's where all the, I guess, official con-sponsored tournaments were, in the normal gaming room with the normal Xboxes.
Yep.
But the other half of the con, or the gaming con, in Katsucon, where we were sitting, they had, like they did last year, classic arcade cabinets.
Yeah, apparently there's some video game museum rental company place that they know and pay, I guess, called Videotopia, and they will provide your event with old school arcade machines that are usually working and well maintained.
Well, the guy who runs it
necessarily
is really cool and knows his stuff, and there was a guy there for the whole con constantly fixing any game that broke to the best of his ability as fast as possible. He was on top of that. Now, that alone, they had that last year too, and they had a good selection of games. I talked about it almost 1 year ago today.
Ooh.
But this year, due to the specific requesting of the staff, they had a slightly different loadout, and I'm not going to name all the games, but notables...
I could probably remember them all if I had to, though.
Notables included Dig Dug, Rampart...
Dig Dug where the left pump button was broken and the right pump button was working.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Rampart, which is one of my favorite arcade games
Rampart
ever,
was pretty big.
which I have much to say about in a bit.
Yep.
We had a Spy Hunter.
Yeah, I didn't even realize the Spy Hunter was there for a while.
No one did. Actually, we were...
Some guy came up to us.
Yeah, we were playing some random OC remix, and this guy's like, what's this music from? And one thing led to another, and then he says, man, Spy Hunter was my favorite game ever. And
I'm like, dude, Spy Hunter's sitting over in that other corner of the room. He's like, really? Where? I'm like, over there. Go play it.
He ran over, and we didn't see him again for like an hour.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
They had Stun Runner, which, while it's a pretty piss-poor game, I have a lot of history and memories with that game.
Actually, what was that game? The Road Blasters, I think?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll talk about more of the specific gameplays later.
Yeah, they also had Marble Madness, and not only they have Marble Madness, but there was a guy at the con who is one of the registered champions of Marble Madness.
Yeah, he's like the third best Marble Madness player ever.
And I watched him just beat Marble Madness.
Yeah, I mean, he died a few times, and that shows you how hard that game is. But right before they packed up the machine, I watched him beat it, and holy shit.
Granted, Marble Madness is probably one of the hardest games I've ever played. And the fact that I got to the 2.5 stage of the game totally impressed these 3 fangirls who were standing around the machine.
Yeah, it was surprising like how many people I watched play these games, and they just didn't know what to do or sucked. Or I saw some girls put quarters in the Dig Dug machine.
But there was also Tetris, Ms. Pac-Man, and of course, Zookeeper and Root Beer Tapper.
Zookeeper.
Now, the sad thing is, our friend Ido, and actually Anant from Apple Geeks, were both staying in our room, and Ido tells me, I said, oh, they got Zookeeper in there. And she says, oh, I love Zookeeper, and I'm really good at it. So I think, wow, she's more hardcore and old school than I could ever have imagined. So then we get there, and I'm like, let's go play Zookeeper, and I start to play, and she's staring at it with this, what the fuck is this, you child's look? She was thinking of Zookeeper, this Flash game that she played on the internets. I was thinking of Zookeeper, this somewhat poorly coded game from probably before I was born.
Yeah.
Granted, I rocked Zookeeper and had the high score by the end of the con.
Yeah, Zookeeper was a game that I played once at a roller skating rink as a child, and I remembered it as being this old school arcade game that didn't get any memory or respect. So when the machine showed up, I was like, holy shits. But that level where you got to jump up to the top, I just didn't like that at all.
Oh, I love that, because I could get pretty much like 60 or 70,000 points in there without even blinking.
Yeah. Oh, they also had the old, they had Asteroids and Centipede and Star Wars.
Yep, they had Tron, but that game sucks.
Tron sucks bad. Oh, and the Paperboy with the bike handlebars, that sucks also.
Oh, you mean the game that's 10,000 times harder than any other version of Paperboy ever?
Oh, and Track and Field, which also sucks.
Yeah, and some NBA games.
Oh, and as you already mentioned, Street Fighter 1.
Essentially, they had an entire arcade from the early days of my childhood.
Hell, they had more games than most arcades from the early days of my childhood. It was like 2 arcades.
Really?
Well, I guess there were a few arcades that had more games than that, but they had it was like 2 or 3 roller rinks worth.
Really? Every arcade I lived nearby had at least that many games, if not twice as many.
I think there were only 2 arcades I remember that had that many games. So, oh well.
Yeah, the only small arcade I went to was in the Gibraltar Trade Center, and it had Stun Runner and like 2 other games. Hence, I played Stun Runner a lot.
It was more than a timeout's worth. That's all I'm going to say.
That's not saying much.
No, it's not.
But no, the cool thing is that in this room, I mean, we had the normal video game room where the normal con people playing their normal con games were hanging out, and that room was pretty much packed 24/7 throughout the entire con.
Mm-hmm.
Our room, which had the old school games, was just as packed, and the people in there ranged from people younger than us staring at these games, just trying to fathom anyone enjoying them at all, but also equal numbers of people our age, practically just on the verge of ecstasy playing games from their youth.
You can place both of us clearly within the ecstasy group.
God, I spent probably all told about 6 hours at this con playing Root Beer Tapper.
I didn't play that Root Beer Tapper that much, but I did play quite a bit of a few other games.
Yeah, so in terms of the con itself, though, the room was rocking. We were playing our music, which was mostly psychedelic trance, OC remixes, and Mach-and-I Supremacy.
That's all I could fit on my little 4 gig iPod.
Well, intermixed with some Para Maxes and whatever else we could dig up from my iPod and from the Mac.
Yep.
And whenever we weren't, this awesome guy next to us was DJing with he's got this really cool kind of digital vinyl setup.
Yeah, it's this thing called Serato. I don't want to talk about it a lot, but all I'll say is that I heard about it previously, but I didn't think it was like that advanced. apparently it's super advanced and it's super awesome. And even though I have no interest in being a DJ whatsoever, I kind of want this equipment anyway. It's that awesome.
Now, the best part was whenever he wasn't around and we were, people would come up and look at him like, hey, dude, are you guys DJs? And I was so tempted to say, yeah, I'm totally a rockin' DJ. Check out my set.
Yeah. Too bad you're not.
Yeah, I'm not at all. God,
I wouldn't even know how to use that thing.
Yeah, well, it looked pretty simple until he actually started using it, and it was actually far more complex than I would ever have the effort or energy or time to put forth.
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple if all you want to do is play a record, scratch, switch the next record, that kind of thing. But anything advanced, like actually making music by combining two records and all kinds of stuff, would be difficult.
But yeah, this con, they had the normal loadout of, convention tournaments. They had a Halo tournament. They had a Wii Sports tournament, which had mixed results due to the fact that golf is kind of a broken game. Yeah, but the tournaments went over really well, and we were in charge of the prizes. So basically, whenever someone won, they'd come into our room, all nervous, and, we'd shake their hand. Hey, congratulations. You want to be interviewed? You want us to announce your name? Blah, blah, blah. And they'd almost universally say, no, I just want to get my prize and skulk away.
Yep.
We had a box of prizes.
Yeah, the box of prizes was because Aaron, the guy who ran the whole GameKatsu thing, he worked at EB, so we had all the the pre-order incentives from EB that didn't get given out.
Yeah, basically he told us that anyone who'd ever worked in an EB would see that pile and say, wow, who worked at EB at this con?
Yeah, we looted some good stuff from there. We gave away most of it. Some of our friends took a few things.
Well, someone stole the three best prizes there, other than the Wii Sports Reggie t-shirts that we gave away at our game show.
And the Phoenix Wright stylus, which I took.
Bastard.
Yeah.
But yeah, there were these little Harvest Moon sheep. And they were really cute, little plushy dolls. And people constantly...
Shows that no one pre-ordered Harvest Moon.
Yeah, but people were constantly looking at him and asking about him and pointing to him and referencing them. And at some point during the con, someone somehow stole one of them from us.
Bastard.
Now, luckily, they didn't steal the Tachikoma or the dragon from Brave Story that I also had and were sitting on the table prominently.
Yeah, because you totally would have found them out and gotten them.
Oh, if someone had stolen one, there was only one of those dragons in the entire con, and I scoured the con. If that had disappeared, believe you me, I would have been prowling around with that black maglite until I found it.
Yeah, the only way someone could have gotten away with it is they hid it in their room and then didn't let it out.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
But in our room, we pretty much had discretion to do what we wanted. So aside from playing our music, I decided, and Scott agreed with me, that we should run a Rampart tournament. However, we didn't want to commit to being there at any particular time, so we decided to make it at 1 a.m. Let me tell you, the combination of having a Rampart tournament coupled with having a Rampart tournament at 1 in the morning is like this cool dude distillery. Because of all the people in the con, it seems like the coolest dude showed up for this tournament. Because one, all the people who showed up were either Rampart fans, and when I say Rampart fans, I'll get into that in a minute as to what that entails.
Or there were people who just discovered Rampart and loved it.
Yep, and between those two groups of people, you have an awesome group of people. Now, couple that with people who are up at 1 in the morning and willing to give up their rave time or their sleep time to come and play in a Rampart tournament.
Only cool people need apply.
And we ended up having exactly 9 people in the tournament, and even Scott Johnson was one of them.
Well, of course, Scott Johnson, he wasn't going to miss out, because if I can't play in it and you can't play in it, then he's like, ooh, the people I know who are better than me are not playing. I think I will enter this tournament, seeing as I own the game of Rampart.
Yeah, even though he owns it on a GameCube, and it's really not the same. I mean, I'm not undefeated on the GameCube version. In fact, me, Scott, and the other Scott win in fairly equal amounts just because we play the game fucking constantly. Mm-hmm. But on the arcade machine, the actual physical arcade machine, I am to this day undefeated.
Yeah, well, I think what it is...
You came real close, though.
Well, see, because that's what it comes down to is when I used to play Rampart way back on the machine only, I sucked bad. Then playing on the GameCube, I got really good.
Yep.
Now I went back to the arcade machine for the first time in years, and I was still really good, but not as good as the GameCube. Like, I could do the trackball now, but I would still get a flub once in a while. And that flub would always do me in, because Rim wouldn't get any flubs because he likes the track.
See, because for me, the GameCube controller is so inadequate for Rampart. And by using that giant, heavy trackball, I can lay down pieces 2 or 3 times faster than I can on the GameCube.
See, I want to play Rampart with a mouse, and then I can use the scroll wheel to rotate the pieces and click to shoot the cannonballs. Then that would be the best Rampart ever.
See, that would actually throw off my strategy. I think I do better with the trackball than I ever could with a mouse.
Yeah, because other people can't do the trackball. If other people could use the trackball as well as I could use a mouse, then you'd be in for some
But it's
shit.
not just that. Because remember, the game where you were winning for a while, and you're like, oh shit, I'm going to beat Rim's undefeated streak, and he'll have to shut up about that forever.
Mm-hmm.
And you were ahead by points, and you were all excited. And then right at the end, when it's coming down to the final wire, it had nothing to do with you making a flub of positioning anything. You just put 2 cannons in really stupid places, and that alone caused you to lose.
Yeah, even so, if I had a mouse, there was a flub I had earlier in that entire series of battles.
It wouldn't have mattered, because you still would have put the cannons in those stupid places, and then 2 rounds later, I finally exploited it.
No, it's all right. Anyway.
I mean, the level of thought we put into Rampart as our group of friends, the Front Row Crew, is probably frightening to average, normal, muggle-type human beings.
Well, I think part of
we argue about, Kung Fu fighters would talk about, he uses the crane stance, well, he uses the crab technique. We're just like that when it comes to Rampart.
I think part of it is that Rampart is a very playable old-school arcade game that has a very direct me versus you directly damaging the other guy game style, which other old-school arcade games tend to not have.
It also has the 3-player simultaneous, which gives you this, player versus player versus player. And then you don't have to just worry about doing as best as you can. You have to worry about who to attack and when.
Yep.
When to gang up on someone, when to form an alliance, when to just totally screw someone at the last second with a final well-placed cannonball.
All right, show's not on Rampart.
Yeah, however, getting these people in at the 1 a.m. tournament, the 9 people that actually joined the tournament, they were so hardcore about the game. It was totally awesome.
Yep. I had a Street Fighter 1 tournament because I thought it'd be humorous to see if I could get people to actually play this terrible, terrible game. Because Street Fighter 1, if you've never played it, is ass. Well, I was playing Street Fighter 1, and I could get, to do the Hurricane Kick, but I couldn't do the uppercut or the fireball.
Well, the Hurricane Kick was hit up and fierce kick.
No, you actually had to do the Hurricane Kick.
No, you didn't.
I'm pretty sure you did. We'll look it up.
I just hit up and kick, and it did it.
I did the Hurricane Kick maneuver to do it, but we'll check that out on the internet.
Doesn't the Hurricane Kick maneuver eventually involve going up and kick?
No, it's down, down and away. It's down, down and away, away kick.
Well, no, up and kick did it, and me and Scott Johnson were up and kicking each other for a while.
Huh, I'll have to go look into that.
Ah.
But anyway.
I doubt anyone even wrote a FAQ on that game.
Yep. So I got 5 or 6 people to play in a Street Fighter 1 tournament, and the guys who made it to the end were actually pretty good, and they were using fireballs all over the place, and I was like, holy shit, how the hell did they get this shitty old game to do that? It was pretty entertaining for me, at least. I got what I wanted out of it.
My favorite part was throughout the day, ever since Scott put up the sign about the tournament, people kept coming up and asking what version of Street Fighter, Alpha Double X Beta,
and I would say that one, and I would point at Street Fighter 1, the machine sitting right there. People would be like, oh.
See, this is when you could tell just like the Rampart thing, the cool people from the not cool people. Because when Scott pointed, the cool people would go badass and put their name down, and the not cool people would go and walk away.
Yeah, I think I've learned something about running video game tournaments because I haven't really run that many in my life, is that if you have a sign-up sheet, you need to start out with a name on it because a lot of people, like at least 3 or 4 people came up, saw that the sheet was empty, and they wouldn't sign up because the sheet was empty. Personally, I would sign up if the sheet was empty because that might mean an automatic prize without having to do anything. But people don't like to sign up for tournaments if they see it's unpopular, so if you're ever running a video game tournament, don't put out a sign-up sheet until you have one name on it. And that way, as soon as the sheet goes out, people actually start signing on.
Actually, what worked well for the Saturday 3 a.m. Rampart tournament was saying no sign-up necessary, just be here at 3, we'll find you.
Yep.
The problem is there was a security incident where they had to close the front door for a little bit, and Scott and I used this as an excuse to get the hell out of there and go to bed.
That was a good time.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Especially since all day, ever since the 1 a.m. Rampart tournament, all day, people kept seeing me and saying, dude, there's another Rampart tournament today, right? Right? It's going to be continues instead of last man standing, right? I want to fight for points instead of sudden death.
Yeah. And there were also people who wanted to have like Marvel Madness and Joust tournaments, and I was like, Yeah, we'll do that Sunday. Didn't happen.
Yeah, but see, I would have been more inclined to do it, except the PA system wasn't so great, so it was actually really hard to announce anything to the room.
Yes, that's because they had those video games on there, which made it more difficult.
No, it was more because the full PA system wasn't there.
That also.
So there weren't any speakers on the other side of the room.
Yeah, we had to turn it up pretty. Like we had to turn it up in order to hear our audio on the other side of the room. We had to turn it up so loud that it hurt you on our side of the room.
So on the right side of the room, as from our perspective, they had 2 projectors on either side of us. For most of the time, they had some Xbox 360 action going there, but next year, I'm going to petition for them to put some sort of old school multiplayer game there instead, or anything cool in multiplayer instead of just watching someone kill zombies.
Yeah, they had a zombie game, and then they had Steel Battalion, which didn't work so well.
Well, the Xbox 360 kept crashing.
Yeah, and then they put Guitar Hero up there, which...
Guitar Hero was great Sunday when I didn't want to play music anymore because it provided music to the room.
Yeah, it was good, but I wouldn't want it there while I want to play music.
Yeah.
Just, because of me, not because Guitar Hero's bad.
Now, to the left of us, well, I'm just going to play this clip we recorded at the con.
All right, so this is video game called Poppin' Music, and it's a Konami Beatmani rhythm game, just like DDR and what else is Beatmani? Beatmania, of course, where the name Beatmani
Yeah, all that
comes
crap.
from. Yeah, Guitar Hero's not actually Konami, so it's not Beatmani, even though it's also a rhythm game.
Same kind of game, though.
Yeah,
You know
Guitar
those games
Freaks
where
is Beatmani, right?
you interact with a game in some sort of rhythmic manner.
Yeah. So Poppin' Music is a game I've heard the name, and I knew it was a rhythm game, but I never actually seen it. Well, now I see it right in front of me. A guy's playing it. He's basically got these 9 hand-sized buttons. They're real big, like big bubbles to pop. And there's 5 in the bottom row and 4 in the top row, and they're different colors. There's like blue, yellow, green, red, clear, and on the screen, there's these little lines that are falling of the different colors really quickly, and he's got to hit the buttons at the right time.
Yeah, but the thing is, it's not like a drumming game or a piano playing game or anything, in that the buttons, other than being rhythmic, don't seem to have anything to do with the music.
It's sort of arbitrary. Like, you're not playing an instrument. You're not simulating playing an instrument. You're not simulating dancing. I mean, at least in Beatmania, you're technically simulating being a DJ, even though it's not even close to what really DJing is like. This game, it's simulating hitting a bunch of buttons that are real big, real fast.
Like it's simulating itself.
I don't know what the hell is...
The thing is, last year, it was set up in the exact same spot, and because I wasn't staff at the video game room, I just kind of ignored it. Like, I saw it, and I was like, oh, it's that thing. I've seen that before, whatever, and I totally didn't even think about it. But now here, there's a little dispute because they wanted to, have their game and use the sound system for the room to play it. And we want to use the sound system to play Derek the Bandit Sound Republic.
That's right. But no, people kept coming up and asking, like, when this game was going to be here and stuff, and... now that it's here, these, 5 or 6 guys who asked about it are all lined up, gathering around it like it's the greatest thing ever.
Now, the thing is, I'm pretty sure that it was almost the exact same group of people from last year.
Maybe, but it seems like it's a very niche game, and I personally think it's kind of a sad game.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess because it looks impressive, like they let them set it up on the big projector. If I ran this con, I'd do what Otakon does and just stick it on a TV.
This is definitely a game that only deserves to be on a TV.
If anything, Guitar Hero should be out here on the big thing.
I know, it really doesn't make sense which games they've chosen to go on the projectors and which one they've chosen to go on the
this
TVs.
Game, no one plays this game who doesn't already play this game. Like, there's no newbie who walks up and is like, oh, this looks cool, and tries to play it.
Yep. Plus, Guitar Hero is probably the #1 game of this con by far.
Yeah, I mean, honestly... if you had a video game room that had 10 Guitar Heroes, they would all see constant action through an entire con.
Pretty much.
The game is as popular as DDR was when it hit its peak.
Yep. Plus, also, what I would do is, since these 2 projectors are in this old school room, personally, I would have plugged in MAME cabinets to both of them.
Yeah.
And I would have kept all the newer games in the other room.
Or something. I don't know. I would have done something differently. I would have had an NES plugged into one of them.
That's a good call. An Atari. We could have had our Atari plugged into one if we brought it.
Yeah, but we didn't bring it.
Because right now, what do they have on the other one? Dead Rising. No one's playing it.
However, no one's playing it, so maybe we'll hook something up to it. Maybe we'll go steal a system like Guitar Heroes and slip it in here.
I don't know, because I don't want...
No, not
I don't
now.
think a music game works well when we're trying to play music in the room.
It depends. I'm thinking late at night.
Late at night,
nothing else
anything
to do.
goes, of course, because no one will be here.
Yeah. In general, I guess I would segregate more. I mean... Otakon has the problem in their video game room where it's so loud, you can't talk to anyone. You can't do anything. Like, we walked in with Jess and all them. We couldn't even communicate among ourselves as to which game we wanted to play. We had to point and nod and pick up controllers and gesture. Here, we're really trying to keep it quiet enough to where people can play, and it seems like a good mix. And the other room is doing this similar thing, only with different music. And they really should put all the music games either, like, on the far end of the room, away from the DJ front of the room, or something.
I don't know. They did. Oh, the problem is that all their PA equipment didn't show up because someone sucks.
Yeah. I think one of our plans might be later tonight when the room becomes more of a cool vibe, we'll get that to shut down, we'll play music, and we'll make this like a happening room. Like, we'll do stuff.
I think it's a good idea.
Yeah, we'll make this kind of like the late night party with Rim and Scott.
Yeah, just some advice for anyone running a con. If you need something, like, desperately, like, you need X equipment for your con to function, like, let's say you need a PA system, and Joe, one of the staff or someone, says, I have a PA system, I'll bring it. And you say, good, can you bring it on Friday? Yes, I'll bring it on Friday. Make sure you get them to sign a contract that says they will bring it on Friday and then sue them if they don't. Otherwise, you need to go and find a real place and rent a system, or else your con will probably not end up with a system they need.
You really just have to be smart about it. I mean, we didn't make our friend Tex sign anything when he let us use his life. But the thing is,
because we knew he was reliable enough.
Tex was rock solid. He'd always show up like 2 hours late. But we planned on that, and he planned on that. Just like everyone involved planned on him being 2 hours late, and everything still worked on time.
But if there's any doubt about, your stuff not showing up, you need to have the backup plan. Yeah. And, because we didn't have the backup plan, I mean, stuff is working, but it's working suboptimally here. So, for all you convention organizers, piece of advice.
Well, I think the main issue is simply that they planned everything out well, but they didn't plan on sound. I mean, I haven't gone into the other room yet to check on the sound here, but even if the equipment weren't different, you got to make sure that the rhythm games are far away from the music sources and from the other rhythm games.
Yep. It's really tough when rhythm games are the most popular thing now. Also, in the console room, a lot of the TVs are turned up kind of loud. It's like, I don't know. I didn't really know what you do about it. It's kind of a tough situation.
Yeah, because no con has done it better. I mean, this is just as good as any other con's video game room. In fact, it's a little better because we're here.
Yeah? All right, cool.
So now that I've had more time to reflect on it, poppin' music, in my opinion, and if anyone disagrees with me, I would love to hear from you, is a totally lame game.
You know what? I'm adding to that because I actually went over there and I played poppin' music, and I actually also played Beatmania, which I've seen but never played before. And my opinion now, after trying both of them, is that both of them are totally lame games. Beatmania and Poppin' Music are equally lame and crappy.
However, because, I mean, there's such a novelty, I think they're a good thing to have at a con, in retrospect, because they always drew a crowd of people who would at least stare at it for a while and go, wow, that's really weird. I've never seen that before. They'd try to play it once and lose, and they'd have a good time, and then they'd leave. The only bad thing was that the same three guys were pretty much playing it the rest of the time, 24/7 throughout the entire con.
It didn't help that their music was loud and annoying over our music, and it kind of bothered us.
See, we had this huge conundrum now, because people would come up to us and complain that the poppin' music was annoying them. But if we turned that down, the poppin' music people would come up and complain that they couldn't hear their music and play their game. And there was no way for us to resolve that situation other than to just kind of keep messing with the volume whenever no one was looking, or say I would change it, then not, and eventually people stopped complaining.
There was a great period of relief where no one was playing poppin' music, and that's all I'll say about that.
Now, my solution here is very simple. What they should do next year is we'll take all these rhythm games and put them in the same room, but on the opposite side of the room.
Yeah,
so,
no two rhythm games should be near each other. At all.
It depends. I mean, Guitar Heroes can be near DDR, and it works because the type of music is just so different that I don't think it causes any
You can
problem.
also have a bunch of DDRs near each other because people are used to that.
Yeah, mostly from arcades.
Yeah.
But in the main room, all they have to do is take these rhythm games from on the other side of the room, and then half the room is rhythm game music, and then the other half of the room is live DJ and OC remixes.
Oh, well. Let's talk very quickly, because you didn't spend much time over there, about the non-video game rooms at Katsucon, which are also part of GameKatsu.
Yes, I got to give props again to the people who ran the video gaming at Katsucon for a great freaking job.
Yep. Well, at Katsucon, what did they have? They had a LARP room. They had a board tabletop-ish card room. and I think another room, just maybe a role-playing room, I think.
It doesn't matter. We walked by.
Yeah, we walked by a couple times and peeked in. LARP room, typical scary anime LARP.
Same as every other anime con. Though actually, I walked by it a few more times looking for people and doing things. It wasn't as scary as Otacon's LARP.
That's good.
It was the people seemed to be into it in the way that we were into it when we LARPed that Cthulhu game way back.
Yeah, I actually saw some people, the LARP traveling around the con a couple times. I saw a rock, paper, scissors go down in the artist alley.
Yeah, which of course we were hanging out with Tex, who was running the artist alley, and we basically, as a group, just made fun of them for like 5 minutes.
Yeah, it was pretty good. The other gaming rooms, they were either empty or kind of sad, or one of them was super smelly. Super smelly.
Yeah, I can't blame Katsucon for that, because every anime con I've gone to except Kineticon, if they've had a normal tabletop gaming or card gaming room, it has always been smelly.
It's always smelly unless it's big, because Kineticon had big gaming rooms because they were big on gaming. But like Anime Next had the super small gaming room, super smelly.
God, that was the worst smelling room I've ever been in.
It's like you might have enough physical space for whatever card or board games you're going to play, but you should always have double the space, I'm saying, from now on is my standard. Because if you don't, the smell will come out, guaranteed.
Or just strict rules. I mean, remember, Anime Next had the problem with the smell. We came back an hour later, and a certain person was conspicuously missing from the room, and the room did not smell anymore.
Oh, that's right. They put a sign on the thing, and they
put a sign up, and they left some Lysol out, and the fat, smelly guy had disappeared.
Yeah. Oh, gaming rooms tend to smell. The ones at Katsucon smelled also.
The thing is, video gaming rooms tend to not smell so badly. I wonder if it's the demographics.
Well, it depends on the video gaming room. Like, if you have a bunch of DDRs in a small room, smell is going to happen.
True. Plus, at Katsucon, at least, there was the one DDR with 2 quality pads, a good hard pad, and then a typical, red octane ignition pad. Enough people were in line at all times that no one smelly dude could play DDR more than a few minutes at a time.
Yeah, I mean, even late at night, at 2 a.m., you had to wait in line, at least a couple songs to play DDR.
God, it was nuts. This is why I have such props for this video game room. I mean, one, the con was all right. We'll talk about it tomorrow, but there wasn't a lot going on at the con. And other than the cosplay lobby, the video game area of Katsucon was like the hot shit, and that is where everyone went all the time. That's where all the action was at this con.
Yeah, I mean, the programming was it wasn't bad, but it was light. So there would be many hours of the day in which you'd be spending all your time in this hotel where you wouldn't have anything that you really wanted to do. So your options were go to the dealer's room, go to the artist alley, and once you've done those, there's not really point in doing them again, except on Sunday to get a discount in the dealer's room. Go see anything you haven't seen already, like the art show, which you can go see once. But the only thing that you could always revert to, besides sit in the hallway and do nothing, was go to the video game room. So a lot of people would keep coming back to the game room when the other stuff, wasn't up to snuff, and there was nothing exciting going on.
Yeah, so despite the fact that we went to the rave at 1 and danced for an hour, and we come back to the video game room thinking, all right, we're sweaty anyway. Let's play some DDR and some Guitar Heroes and go to bed. And then we have to wait a half hour to play more DDR. And then we just couldn't even get anywhere near the Guitar Heroes machine.
Yeah, I mean, other than the artist alley, which, while it was open 24/7, not all the artists sat there 24/7.
Yeah, the artist alley was definitely this quiet, subdued area at night. There were people hanging out there, but it was mostly hushed conversations and giggling, or I saw 13-year-olds making out at one point.
Ooh. Yeah.
Oh, look. That is not how you react to 13-year-olds making out.
I just kind of reacted to the making out without processing the 13-year-old part.
Great.
Yeah.
There was a preponderance.
Isn't someone supposed to be watching those 13-year-olds?
There was a preponderance of 13-year-olds making out at this con, as was reported to us by our reporters in the field as they went around the con.
Oh, I didn't really notice so much. Actually, the con did feel older than other cons.
That's what I was saying. That's why
there were high school kids there, but they tended to be mostly older high school kids, and there were less middle. There were almost no middle school kids.
See, that's what I love about Katsucon, and I said this last year too, and even the year before we did Geeknights, but I still said it, that Katsucon's demographic is very much targeted more at people our age. Mm-hmm. And as a result, there's a lot more drinking, but not, stupid drinking, except for a few occasions we ran into that we'll talk about tomorrow. Yeah, but seriously, the con is older and the crowd is generally more subdued and more, I don't want to say intellectual because that's definitely not the case, but there was a lot more, cool people hanging around in the bar, cool people just kind of hanging around talking to each other. There wasn't so much kids running around screaming.
Yeah, almost no middle school kids. So definitely a plus, I guess, for us, but other people, who knows what they care about.
Now, an interesting thing that I never thought of but became an issue this year with this con, and probably with other cons too, was that now wireless controllers are becoming the thing more and more.
Yeah, you got Wiimotes, you got 360 wireless controllers. Aren't the 6-axis controllers wireless?
I guess so.
I think they are. I'm not sure.
That not like anyone wants a PS3. It's not like there were
did they
any
even
at the
have a
con.
PS3 there?
What game would they put on it?
I don't know. I don't think they had any. Anyway. But yeah, you have a wireless controller. So, okay, someone comes up, they want to play a game. You give them a wireless controller. Now they get up and walk away. Oops.
So the way Katsucon handled this was basically to set up a bag check at the entrance to the video game room. You had to check your bag in order to get in. You could claim it when you went out. And despite the chaos of the fact that a lot of people were trying to go in and out of this room constantly at all hours, they had their shit together, and that bag check worked as well as it could have possibly worked.
Well, on Friday, the bag check worked kind of but then they realized that it was a problem, which is a good thing. Most cons, they have a problem, and the problem stays for the whole con, and you just go, and they fix it next year. Katsucon, they shut down the game room at Friday at midnight for an hour and fixed the bag check the best they could with the available resources.
Yep, they called all the staff over, including us, and they were like, all right, how do we make this work better? And we put forth an idea that worked well enough.
Yep.
I got some better ideas for next year if we can plan ahead a little bit.
Yep,
but.
and immediately now they're already thinking about how to streamline it or eliminate it for next year. So, awesome props.
And seriously, as far as I saw, one bag was lost in the entire con, and they found it in fairly short order.
Awesome. Yeah, but what else did they do about this wireless controller problem? It was pretty simple. They would keep the wireless controllers at a desk, and if you wanted one, you had to give up your badge. So if you walked off with the controller, all right, you're going to get caught without your badge, and then you're screwed.
Of course, you could buy another replacement badge if you lost it for $10, and it probably wouldn't filter back right away, because eventually they would probably figure out, hey, I've got this kid's badge. He just bought a replacement badge. I see what's going on here. I don't think you thought your clever plan all the way through.
Well, they all had walkie-talkies, so it would probably... The con had a whole loss prevention department. I'm sure they had their stuff together, and if someone wanted to buy a replacement badge, they'd probably just walkie-talkie the video game room, like, hey, did so-and-so take a wireless controller? And it doesn't matter, because no one tried to pull that shit. Because it's really so difficult to get away with it. The risk is high and the reward is low. You'd have to be an idiot to even try.
I don't know. When it comes to the Wiimotes, though.
It's true.
Wiimotes are a valuable commodity
but see,
to this day.
They had the Wii area sort of cordoned off with tables. It's like you had to get into the Wii area. Mostly because people in there would be swinging around. And
yeah, apparently there was one incident where some poor girl lost her grip on her Wiimote and beamed one of the staffers in the face.
Oh, I don't know how true that is, but I guess I'll pretend it's true because it's funny.
Well, it was in the staff email list, and I read it like 10 minutes ago.
Well, it could have been just a joke. But anyway, yeah, the Wii area was sort of cordoned off, and I think they had staff watching it at all times. So you'd have to be real slick to make off with a Wiimote.
And the other side, a nice thing they had was in the normal video game room, on the other room, they had a bunch of couches kind of lined up in the corner. And it was half a crash area, relax, chill a bit, half a bust out your DSs and play DS games area.
Yeah, at first I thought it was just a cool sit down and rest area, because they had all these couches covered in sheets so that no one messed them up, because they were really fancy couches and they didn't want scuzzy gamers messing up the couches. But then I saw people with their DSs there and I was like, oh, that's what those couches are for. Clever. Ooh.
Granted, in the video game room, at one point, we wrote on one of our whiteboards, Channel B, Picto Chat, woo. And we just stayed in Picto Chat to see what happened. And immediately someone joined and typed yo/B/, which I immediately recognized as some sort of 4chan glyph.
And we stopped Picto Chatting.
Yeah, we pretty much ended that right away.
Apparently now, Picto Chat is no longer for drawing penises, but what you do is you're greeting. Instead of saying hi or yo, you just draw a penis to announce, here I am, what's up?
God, when we had it open, pretty much anyone who joined just drew a penis and left. It was so, I don't know, expected.
I should mod my DS, change the firmware so that it says penis chat instead of picto chat. All right, what else went down at the GameKatsu? Anything else?
For the most part, we just kind of emceed the room and hung out playing music and hanging out with cool people.
Yep, giving away CDs, giving away flyers, telling people about podcasting, meeting people, playing video games.
Playing a lot of video games. I had a bunch of I went up to random people in the video game room and challenged them to games. Granted, I was being kind of a jerk about it because I only challenged people to Zookeeper, Root Beer Tapper, Rampart, and Marble Madness.
Yes. Well, you could have challenged that one guy to Marble Madness.
Yeah, actually, people kept trying to get me to play against him, but it never came to be, and I wanted to. I wanted to watch him win while I lost.
That would have been funny.
That would have just been great. Plus, I could have tried to get in his way.
Maybe. That would have been cool. Can you prevent this guy from winning Marble Madness?
I don't think I could have. Because, I mean, I play with my whole arms, like wigga, 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 wigga on that trackball. He plays with his whole body, you know? And
he played with two hands. He was like, whoosh, 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 whoosh.
Oh, I did two hands, but I was kind of just padding at it. This guy, like, you know how in a katana fight, samurai, like, they'll move their ankle, and that's, like, the tell. This guy was like that about Marble Madness.
He was full out. He put his full energy into it. Like, he could, if there were more levels in Marble Madness, he'd need to take a rest after, like, a few more. Good thing the game's only, 5 levels? Yeah.
Something like that. I once in my entire life, I got to the last level and proceeded to lose horribly. I never got there again.
Yeah, this guy beats it every time, so we're suck. We suck.
But yeah, that was our cursory, early presentation of Katsucon's video gaming. Tomorrow we're going to have the actual full coverage of the con because we'll finally be fully rested and we'll finally remember all the stuff we wanted to talk about.
Yeah. Oh well, Katsucon, the awesome. Gaming at Katsucon, big and awesome.
Yeah, Katsucon is totally badass, and if you ever want to go to an anime con, I recommend going to Otakon, and I recommend going to Katsucon, and happily they're both right next to each other.
Yep.
So you can start con season with Katsucon and end it on Otakon and have a damn good summer.
Yeah, Katsucon I think is actually a great con if you've never been to cons before, and because if the programming remains light, you're not stressed you're not all stressed out. You can feel your way around a con without having to do a big serious one right away, OMG.
It's also not as difficult to navigate as Otakon. I mean, the hotel layout is a little confusing, but you'll figure out where stuff is pretty much right away.
It's basically a stick with a Y on one end and a T on the other end.
Also, the fact that it's in a hotel, meaning most of the people there are staying at the hotel, really, really sets it apart from, because pretty much all the cons bigger than this aren't in hotels anymore. They're all in convention centers. They can't go 24/7. You don't get the 3 a.m. Rampart tournament or the 4:30 in the morning Guitar Heroes.
Yeah, plus it's 24/7, so you have a lot of time to get the lay of the land. After an hour or two on Friday, if you actually bother to walk around, you know where the hell everything is. And they have really good signs.
This has been Geeknights with Rim and Scott. Special thanks to DJ Pretzel for the opening music.
Be sure to visit our website at www.frontrowcrew.com, where you'll find show notes, links, our awesome forum, a link to our Frapper map, and links to all the RSS feeds.
We say feeds plural because Geeknights airs 4 nights a week, covering 4 different brands of geekery. Mondays are science and technology. Tuesdays, we have video games, board games, and RPGs. Wednesdays are anime, manga, comic nights. And Thursdays are the catch-alls for various rants and tomfoolery.
You can send us feedback by email to geeknights@frontrowcrew.com. Or you can send audio feedback via Audio. Just click the link that says Send Me an Audio on the right side of our website.
If you like what you hear, you can catch the last 100 episodes in iTunes or in your favorite podcatcher. For the complete archives, visit the website, which has everything.
Geeknights is distributed under a Creative Commons Attribution Non-Commercial Share-alike 2.5 license. This means you can do whatever you want with it as long as you give us credit, don't make money, and share it in kind. Geeknights is recorded live with no studio and no audience. But unlike those other late shows, it's actually recorded at night.